Hey everybody, we had some technical difficulties. For some reason, our intro videos were deciding to lag, so we're not playing them today apparently. Yeah, I was clicking in, I was click play and it just didn't play. So,
Rude.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what that was about. But anyway, welcome to Geekin' Out. Geekin' Out is a podcast where we get down and dirty about geek culture. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to talk about a lot of crazy stuff. Tonight's topic is going to be the X-Men film franchise. But before we do that, I want to remind everybody, let's hope this plays, and it's not playing. So make sure you go hit us up on YouTube. You can find us on, I know there's usually a thing right here. There it is. Hit us up on YouTube. And when you do, make sure you like, subscribe, and click that notification bell so that you're notified when we have new episodes coming up. All right. And you also get notified of our current live streams. Also, I'm going to take this as an opportunity to remind you all that Nelly Media will be sponsoring a 24-hour live stream on March 3rd. We're going to be doing it in conjunction with the charity. We're still in works with the charity, so we're not going to release the name of the charity yet. But it is a charity that supports veterans and LGBTQ people, so hopefully that works out. It's going to be 24 hours. We're going to be doing a lot of different things. We'll have a Geekin' Out section. We'll have a Talk It Out section. We're going to have, I have a friend of mine who's going to be doing a cooking stream. She's going to be giving you some cooking expert tips and all this other stuff. We're going to have a great time. It's going to be dope. It's going to be excited. Now, we don't have Julian here today because he had to work. But what we do have is we have Miss Ricky Z, who is your social media manager. She is also teacher, mother, extraordinaire entrepreneur. We also got Chris Steele, HR manager and geek, student, teacher, and then actor.
Actor, yeah.
Actor, yes.
Of course. You can add that to the list.
And of course you have me, Nelly Media dude who's everywhere on Nelly Media. But we have a very, very special guest today, CEO of Art Heart Studio, who you can find every Tuesday night, 11 p.m. Central?
Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. So.
8 p.m. Pacific. So it's 11 p.m. Eastern. Yeah. On Twitch at Art Hard Studios. They do Weed ND, which is D&D Live, where everybody's stoned out of their minds. It's so fun. It is a lot of fun. It's super interactive. He's the game master. He talks like this, and he has this really cool speaking voice, and it's really fun. And the actors are dope. It's a great time. So welcome, Brandon. We're going by Bam. So welcome, Bam.
Bam.
How are you doing?
Bam.
I'm doing great, man. Thanks so much for reaching out. I'm actually looking forward to this. I'm doing great though, man. Like the world's crazy, but I'm doing good.
Dang it, though.
we're getting high and playing D&D over here, so not a ton to complain about.
Listen, and I'm so proud that that's happening for you because that's entrepreneurship at its best right there.
Dude, thanks, man. Yeah, it's important to us. Like we're advocating for cannabis normalcy and lifestyle positivity and stuff like that. I feel like a lot of there's this weird thing in D&D where people are like, you can't be stoned and run a game of D&D because your brain's too dumb. And I'm like, all right, watch me for 3 hours, Right. So it's been a really cool thing. We've gotten to meet some really interesting people in the industry and stuff. And it's just, it's taken off, man. It's just every week it's a little more exciting.
I think it has to do with this idea, and it's crazy because on our other show, when we talk about more political stuff, I think we just did legalization of drugs, and did we do it, or is that a future topic?
No, that was like a couple episodes ago.
But we did do it. And I think that we're actually this week we're talking about legalization of sex work, and I think when it comes to that kind of stuff, people are so restricted by what's the word? Not negative connotation.
The norms.
No, it's like when there's a word specifically, but it's when something's given like a bad rep and you just can't get over it because it's bad. You've always been taught that it's bad when you're the stigma. Yes, a negative stigma, and I feel like that kind of stuff. Hopefully it'll go away and we'll stop judging people for just being happy and living.
Hey, representation matters. So it's like everything I look at, it's like stoners are idiots or whatever. It's like then I go to a dispensary and there's a lawyer in line, a teacher in line, a professor. There's people from everywhere. So it's like let's stop propagating this myth that like it's only one type of person that smokes weed. It's like weed's been good to a lot of people, man.
Work is work. Also,
work is work, baby.
Don't stigmatize work.
Yeah,
it's work.
Absolutely. So before we get into our topic, of course we do our what are we geeking out about? But first, we're gonna do our section that we like to call Ricky's Rant. This is where Rikia or another panelist, but specifically Ricky, is going to have a minute to rant about whatever she wants to rant about. Okay? So let me get the screen set up right. How do I put this? Okay, that's good. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
Bathroom Forest. Sorry. Okay. I'm
Cheering,
ready.
cheering. All right.
Yes.
So Ricky's rant in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Guys, don't be haters. Okay?
Don't be a hater.
Don't be a hater, okay? So, if you've been paying attention to Instagram and Twitter, Chloe from Chloe and Halle has been getting a little bit of backlash for possibly being a little too scandalous and sexy. You know, she's 22, she's young, she's got money, and she's living life. And, you know, she's done, like, the Busted Challenge, and, you know, she can be a little extra on the stage, but it's cute, it's fun. Don't be a hater about it because you feel insecure about yourself and your body. Okay? Be kind to folks. She's young. This is the time to do some of those things, to be a little wild and out there. Leave folks alone. Quit being a hater. Okay? Just love. That's all I gotta say. That's my rant.
All right. Well, you definitely finished with extra time left over. So now I want to talk about your rant because I actually just watched that today. This is how I feel about that. Like, first of all, let's talk about your rants in general. Why are you so sweet? Like, you need to because
a sweet person.
You can't be sweet to haters. If there's any group of people you can't be sweet to, it's haters. Like, haters don't understand sweet. So what you got to do is, like, haters hate because they have nothing better to do. They have nothing better to do. Because let me tell you something. Like, I saw her do the Busted Challenge, and I thought to myself, like, I think it's difficult when you see child stars transitioning into adulthood. It's always they have this extra level of scrutiny. Is that the word? Scrutiny. Thank you. I was like, that sounded weird. Scrutiny. So because scrutiny, right? They have this extra layer of scrutiny, which I get. However, they're 22. I know when I was 22, the Busted Challenge was the least of my worries. Okay, yeah. All right, but I was busting it for rough, busting, you know.
Round every corner.
Right. Look, busting it like a roll of biscuits everywhere.
With a spoon?
Right. No, you don't even need to just twist it, you know? But my point is, like, generally people who see other people, we talked about this before, people who see other people having fun and decide to say something negative, they're miserable.
Yeah.
Like, they are miserable. Like,
hurt people.
Right. It's that person at the party standing there like this. You're at a party, bro. Get a drink. Why are you standing there mad? So,
in my defense, it's the sweet ones you have to be most worried about. So,
I mean, I'm not saying that not to worry about you. I'm saying when we get on them rant, go ahead and chew their asses out.
Let them have it.
Fuck them haters.
I ain't saying you ain't got to look out for you sweet people, because you sweet people do be shady as fuck sometimes.
Ricky is a bucket of shade. Period. Shady Palm Grove.
But it's all good. I mean, you keep the party going. You keep the party going. I ain't got to worry about you.
You gotta go high. You gotta elevate.
Okay, so next we're gonna do our section called "What Are You Geeking Out About?" What are you geeking out about is a section where we each go around a circle and we tell, like, what in pop culture, what in whatever geekdom that we're really freaking out about or that we're really excited about. I'm gonna start with. We usually start with our guest, but I'm gonna go last. Before me, I mean last. I'm gonna start with Ricky.
Okay. Let's see. What am I? Look, y'all. I'm sure you guys have seen this meme of, it's like, there's 3 pictures, one top of the other, and it's like, okay, casual Marvel fans of episodes 1 through 2 of WandaVision. And you're just like, Then the second one's like...
Wait, no spoilers.
Oh, I'm not spoiling.
Okay.
And like the second picture is like, okay, for episode 3, like they're like, okay. And then the third picture is like for episode 4, it's the meme of the guy with like the conspiracy wall with all the papers and like the string with the push
Charlie.
pins and like yes, and like the Sharpie marker like circling all the things. Right, exactly, that one. So like I'm in that phase of WandaVision where like I still don't necessarily know what's going on, but I'm loving it still. I don't care. I'm enjoying it. Definitely still geeking out about WandaVision. And for some reason people think it's going too slow. I don't think so. I don't think it is. I think it's building for me.
I heard somebody say it's not that it's going too slow, it's that people don't know how to watch TV anymore.
I can see that too.
Because really, you have to realize, like, we used to literally watch a whole 22 episodes of Buffy before
Right.
Before the big bad was dead. What do you mean?
Yo.
Right. And the thing, I think also because, like, those episodes are, like, literally less than 25 minutes long, like a legit sitcom, without the commercial break. So, like, and when they're trying
Wait,
to...
WandaVision's only 30 minutes an episode?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ew.
Like
Ew.
a legit sitcom.
Ew. I don't like
I know,
that.
I mean, it sucks, but, like...
Hasn't seen
That's
it,
literally the
doesn't like
first
it.
thing I've heard about WandaVision that made me go ill. Like, because it's
good.
listen.
But get this. There's
If you
like
know
7
anything
minutes of
about-
credits.
Oh, that's whack.
7 minutes of credits for every episode. So
This
just get ready
yes.
for that.
This is the crazy thing about it to me is like, if you know anything about the Scarlet Witch, anything, her entire storyline, every one of her storylines is about her being crazy, insane, and we've seen her be sane. Like, and now they're gonna do a movie or a series just about her, right? How are you confused as to why it doesn't make sense? I would be mad if it did. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, when I first was introduced to the Scarlet Witch, it was via X-Men Evolution. Mm-hmm. X-Men Evolution introduced her with Agatha. What basically, I think it was, she was this girl who was in this insane asylum. We didn't know who she was, and Agatha Harkness was watching over her through Mystique. I'm piecing together. Mystique or Magneto 1 had got her out of the institution and moved her into the house with all the other Brotherhood of the gang, that those dudes. And then she starts going crazy, and Agatha Harkness is the only one who can calm her down, like with her magic and stuff. Agatha Harkness is like the only surviving witch from the Salem witch trials in X-Men Marvel saga. So basically, once we revealed that it was Magneto's daughter and Agatha Harkness had got her together, she was incredibly powerful and took on like the whole X-Men team by herself and wrecked shop, right? But I mean, it was always on the teeter of like her going insane. And then when you read the comic books, like all of her storylines are about her going insane or getting pissed off and doing this insane thing. And it's like, so why when you watch the TV show are you surprised that her storylines are about her possibly being insane? And going through some crazy stuff? Like, it doesn't make sense. I don't think it's supposed to at first. Like, I think it's always gonna like reveal itself. And I
it's
think
kind of like what Legion did. You know, it was like, man, this is really intense. But if you knew anything about Legion, it's like, of course this is going to be really intense. It has to be.
Because he's like,
I'm coming from this from like as someone that's not like a hardcore comic book fan. Like I'm. Like I have my nostalgia for the old X-Men cartoons and stuff like that. But like, what I've been loving about the whole MCU and even like the it's just kind of like going back and like looking at the information about these characters as I watch more of these films and more of these TV shows and just kind of learning about all the different like versions of their life throughout time.
what do you think, Chris?
I am obsessed with WandaVision.
Okay, have you started watching it?
I am.
Are you caught up?
I'm all the way caught up, and I'm
Okay.
obsessed.
The only reason I haven't started watching it is because I don't like waiting. I refuse to wait. So
Same, bro.
I would much rather wait
Past
to
that.
start it till everything was online than to like watch them one at a time. Especially because like I like Scarlet Witch. Like she's my favorite Avenger, other than someone who I don't want to spoil it. My other favorite Avenger is no longer with us, but there's not a man named It's not the dude everybody else is all sad about. It's not him. Fuck that
Right.
guy. Right.
No, you're talking about Black Widow. I know who you're talking about.
Literally said I didn't want to spoil it.
Oh.
But I feel like if you've seen it, if you haven't seen it by now,
That's on you.
Yeah.
You had time.
you've
I
had
saw it
time.
in Europe. Like, I was like, this
Oh,
is going to
yeah.
get spoiled to me. We were in the middle of a European vacation, and we're like, we got to go see this before it gets spoiled on some tourist trip on a bus or something.
Okay.
The dog's
So,
got
let's see.
thoughts about WandaVision.
Yes.
Okay.
So yes, I've been geeking out about WandaVision.
Mhm.
Is there anything else I've been getting into? I think that's been it. Like I've been like rewatching. I spent like the last week and a half rewatching X-Men movies to get ready for this week, and
Okay,
with a
okay.
sprinkle of like Avenger movies here and there.
A little hodgepodge.
Oh, like, and we talked about this in the group chat. I was reading up on what movie was I watching? Days of Futures Past. I was watching that.
Yes.
Good one.
And I was thinking about like, I was reading up on Kitty Pryde. I didn't know Kitty Pryde had married Star-Lord. And so like I brought up this theory in the group chat about how I know you don't think so, but like I feel like it's plausible.
Let me tell you why. Okay, say your theory.
Okay, so I'm thinking if they don't bring the X-Men in through Wanda, they could probably do it via Kitty Pryde through Galaxy, the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Is Pride spelled with a Y?
Yes.
Yes.
That's just my thought. It's just a theory. I mean, but like I said, like I'm not like a hardcore Marvel fan.
Okay, so
I'm
which is
just
why you
thinking
shouldn't
it.
theorize, okay?
Ooh!
Shade.
Fuck you!
Shade.
But let me say this. I feel like this. First of all, Kitty Pryde being the Lincoln won't happen. For one, Kitty Pryde doesn't have a big enough following of people who aren't fans of the series of X-Men. She does not. Scarlet Witch didn't until now you have
Avengers.
multiple movies with her, so it's like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Also, technically, there was a version of her that exists in the Fox franchise, which we'll talk about later. But
Right.
remind me to talk about this. There was a version of her. It was like one of those like you had to like look for it, but it was there.
Right.
So, having said that, what happened was Fox was like, we'll introduce the twins. You will take one twin. We'll take the other twin. So X-Men Fox got Evan Peters' Quicksilver, and then the Disney ones got Wanda. So now you have these who are the children of Magneto. It would be weird if you already have this really important character who's the child of who's already not only one of the most powerful mutants, who has the ability to suppress and enhance other mutants' abilities, and who is the son of like one of the most infamous villains. It would be ridiculous to me if she wasn't I would like, why? It's like they say work harder. No, they work smarter, not harder. Not letting Wanda be the tie-in would just be working harder. Like you have such a. I don't need to be surprised. Like just give me the X-Men at this point.
I don't care
Just
how you give them
me
to
the
me.
frackin'
Right, like okay, if you read
I'll
the
even take
comics,
Cyclops, bro. Just give me him.
as long as it's there actually has been. We really we're hopping all over the place today, so we're gonna go back and forth between the main topic and what we're geeking out about. But there's been murmurs that they're not gonna have Wolverine be in these movies, and I'm so excited about it.
Because who's
fine
going to
with
play
that.
him
They've
after
done
Hugh Jackman?
so-
Who could do it?
They've done so much with frickin' Wolverine. Like
Both of
we
those
are
things.
tired.
Well, and Logan
We're
was
so
like the
tired.
perfect resolution to that character. Like Logan was one of the greatest films that year, let alone superhero movies. And it's like we got such a dope resolution to that character.
I hate.
Oh, you could be wrong. It's fine.
This is how I feel like this.
Well,
I know, right? I'm like, oh my god, I hate Wolverine. I will agree with you about Hugh Jackman. Like, I really like Hugh Jackman, and it sucks that he's Wolverine for me because, like, every time I see an X-Men movie, I spend like 2 hours hating Hugh Jackman because he is the face of Wolverine.
Wolverine.
And what's crazy is I didn't hate Wolverine before the movies, which we'll talk about later. My hate for Wolverine. All right, so that's what we're geeking out about. We're kids geeking out about WandaVision and Kitty Pryde possibly. Okay, so yeah. So my theory is just that Kitty Pryde joining the X-Men. This is why I really don't think it'll happen. It'll take too many steps. For one, we have to somehow introduce Kitty Pryde into this world, and she is a mutant.
Mm-hmm.
So even though Wanda's a mutant too, like they tied it in, okay, you know, you can say we activated her powers, but how is this other mutant going to exist without us explaining how mutants exist first, right? And with the whole ideology of mutants existing, you have to also create that tension between humans and mutants. So we have to figure out how to also create that history that's not there, which is another link to probably why it's Wanda. But because the whole issue with the only mutant that didn't have this issue was Apocalypse, and he's like billions and billions of years old, billions, millions, thousands. But anyway, so. I can't read anymore. But so essentially, you have to introduce Kitty Pryde and make it make sense. Then you have to make Star-Lord fall out of love with Gamora, which means he has to give up on finding her, or he has to find her and something happens, right? Because he's literally traveling in the galaxy looking for this woman at this point. So he loves her, right? So you have to make that make sense. Then you have to not only make them fall in love, but then get married and then have her, for some reason, leave that to become an X-Men.
Right.
So to me, that's so many steps to explain the X-Men when you can just introduce a character like Storm, who comes from a lineage of witches and a high priestess. So her powers can be explained just like that. Mm-hmm. Oh, we didn't know they were mutant powers because she has this legacy of magic behind her. Or you have a character like Wanda, or you have a character like Doctor Strange, who also can manipulate dimensions. You just have so many easy options, especially now. Let me stop because, so especially now because they're introducing this new TV show about Wakanda.
Yes.
They're doing, this is kind of one of the things I'm geeking out about, so I'm kind of, but they're doing a TV show called The Kingdom of Wakanda. It's a Disney Plus series. And I guess it's the answer to like how they're going to fix the whole Black Panther situation. And when I say fix, I mean, I'm not talking about it in trying to cast, figure out what to do with T'Challa. I'm talking about fixing what's her name?
Oh, Letitia Wright?
Letitia Wright, trying to fix what she did because, Lord Jesus. So because she went on her rant and technically supported some turfish banter, I think they're now trying to figure out what they can do. Michael B. Jordan has talked about coming back as Killmonger.
So good.
I also think the dude who plays, what is his name? Beautiful man. His name is Yahya. I can't remember the rest of his name. I know his first name is, I think it's like Yahya something Muhammad II. He plays Dr. Manhattan on Watchmen.
Yeah. That dude was awesome.
He could play the hell out of Black Panther, if you ask me. But
I'd back that. I
just think he's got this really incredibly like calmness to his like acting portrayals, and I think you need that as T'Challa, but he's also incredibly imposing. Yeah. Right. So it works very well. So I think that it'd also be great to have like a chance to give all those black actors like some really wonderful work. Because I mean, when you have a series, you get to really dig deep into like the life of these characters and nuances, and you have all these other storylines going on. So I think that'll be really dope. I'm glad they're doing it. Okay.
Yeah. I'm
Chris,
excited about that.
What are you geeking out about?
Okay. Well, okay. What I've been geeking out about over the past week or so, number one, season 2 of Bonding came out on Netflix.
What's Bonding?
It's about sex work. It's like a short form Netflix show about like BDSM and but it's funny. It's like a sitcom. It's like it's funny. Anyways, so there's that, but also I watched this series called Slag Wars. Don't judge me. Slag Wars, which is also about sex work. And it was just like these two porn stars trying to find the next, as they termed it, cock destroyer. And it was amazing. I mean, it was amazing. I loved it. It was only 4 episodes long. You can watch it on slagwars.com. And yeah, that's kind of what I've been geeking out about this week. Sex work. Yeah.
Which is so on track for the podcast Talk It Out this week. So I like that.
You guys are syncing up.
Right. All right, Bam. What are you geeking out about?
Man, same shit as always. Dungeons & Dragons primarily is the thing that lights my fire. There's been a lot of really exciting stuff in the hobby coming out. There's a new book, Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, that's trying for like a more inclusive play style. Again, it's all optional, so it's like if that bothers you, just don't fucking buy the book. It's cool. They've got like wheelchair accessory warriors and stuff, and they're like trying to like expand the hobby to accommodate all players of any kind that want to live whatever kind of adventure fantasy that they want to live. And I love that. I love seeing a company kind of put their ass on the line. A lot of people say it's hollow, but I just, after seeing them go to all the trouble of putting the books out and really coming to swing, and a lot of the developers of 5th edition D&D are LGBTQIA, so it's like I don't think it's as hollow as a lot of people are saying it is. And so I'm really excited to see my hobby evolving a more progressive viewpoint, as I myself have done so, and as I've developed with the hobby through the years. So that's been really cool. I'm a super big video game player. Right now I'm actually on this kick. I got all these great games that I never finished because I get stuck in fucking side quests. I love side quests. I'm like, anybody asks for help, I'm there to help. I can't wait to build the city and get all the extra guys, and I'm just like way overpowered by the end of the game. I never end up finishing these games anymore. I used to, but I don't now. And so I said, fuck it, dude. Like, there's these great, amazing games that are made, and I ignore the best part of them, like the storyline, the part that everybody worked on to go do like stupid fetch quests and missions that I don't care about.
Yes!
So I've been replaying. I picked up Fallout 4. I said, I'm going all the way through. I'm not doing a single side quest. I'm ignoring every cry for help.
How did that work?
And it was great, dude. I loved the story. It was way more compelling. I in that game, your son has been stolen from you after your wife is murdered. When you go helping some kids sell newspapers, you lose the stakes of that. And this time I was just like running around the wilderness like, where's my son? Like, I need to find my son. And it was freaking great, man. And so I picked up Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm doing the same thing. I'm almost done with it. I'm in the epilogue now. So I'm just like trying to give some respect to the amazing storylines these people create that get a little buried in my like completionist video game fantasy of like, I can do everything and beat this game not in 4 months, So it's been great though, man. Yeah.
So have you ever played Skyrim?
Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah.
Have you finished it?
Oh, yes, I did. I did.
You're literally the first. When I say finished, I mean you finished everything in the game. You're the first person I've ever met who said they finished that entire game.
I'll tell you why I did it.
There's no way.
I created an unarmed warrior. And if you haven't done that and gotten on the top of a dragon's head and punched it to death, then that's why you didn't finish the game, because it's the greatest experience ever. No weapon, heavy armor. You just climb up the dude and just start beating him unconscious, and eventually he's dead, and you take his body and turn it into more armor. Oh.
Right.
You are crazy.
Right,
man.
Right. Like the fact that your brain was like, I think I'm gonna do that. It's
an exploit too, because they give you like unarmed extra damage for wearing heavy armor, and so it's kind of an exploit that I figured out that was just like, why am I like beating dragons super easily? And literally, it was so funny to me that it kept me going through that whole game. I was just like, a vampire would walk up and I'd be like, and that'd be just like beat the crap out of him and then walk out. It was fantastic.
I never would have thought of that, because like I'm never in those games do I want to like be the guy who punches people. I want to be the guy who like fries people.
Spells them, man.
Yeah, I want to like fry everybody from like a mile away.
But to be fair, like you said, those games are hard to finish. I was like 22 hours into the game before I did the second quest. Like I was like, you're supposed to go right, and I just went left and just kept going straight for a while. And then finally I was like, well, I guess I should like go do the story. But I was legit like 20 hours into the game already.
That's what I like about that game, is that like it's literally not a game, it's a life. You have created an entire other life. You got either friends. Like I played once, I had some adopted children, I had me a mansion. I was part of like 5 guilds. People would find me and ask me to do work, and I'd be like, I don't know, I'm taking care of my kids. I'm taking my kids to the park this week. I mean, I might find
I can't play that game. I cannot play it. I can only watch people play that game and live vicariously through their lives, because I know I will get lost in that game. I will.
It's a cheat code for me because I'm a dungeon master, so technically it's all research. Like everything, it's like, oh, here's a necromancer's cave. Cool, yeah. I mean, I'm just playing video games, but it's like all that goes into that little golden box.
That's
and
true.
then I can steal from it as needed.
That's the great thing about that's the great thing about either writing or playing in a genre like that is that you get to like really just like you have this groundwork of rules, but then also the thing about like supernatural stuff and like fantasy stuff is that it's rooted in so many different cultures, and each culture has like a variation on something that is like recognizable or similar that you can really do so many really cool things
That's
with.
great.
Because I've seen like sirens be like mermaids, and then I've seen them not be mermaids at all. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just an example of it. So
I
get what
dragons. Dragons are in every civilization. Every culture had dragons. They're not necessarily the same thing, but they almost did stand for the same thing. Always like greed and this overwhelming protectory instinct over what you have and what others want and things. And so it's like it's amazing.
Except
it's like such a cool
in
thing.
Eastern culture,
Right?
which I think is my point. Like you could have like an Eastern dragon who's like the total opposite of what a Western dragon.
Yeah, the benevolence. Yeah, absolutely.
And then I like that. So
This dude, Danny right here is asking what my thoughts are on Cyberpunk. I love Cyberpunk. It's one of those open world games, a lot like Skyrim and things like that. What's cool about it is it comes from another tabletop RPG called Cyberpunk Red might be the newest one, but whatever. It comes from a TTRPG. So all those crazy mechanics that those games have to function effectively are already built into it. Like there's already a whole system that's been worked out for Cyberpunk, and now they took that great system and from what I've heard have made a pretty awesome game. I hear it's kind of full of bugs. I haven't gotten to play it. Our computer crashed in the studio, and I just bought a new one. But that was like one of my rules. I was like, it has to be able to run Cyberpunk. So I will. That'll probably be what I do after Red Dead Redemption. Honestly, just to take it.
What is Red Dead Redemption?
So there was Red Dead Revolver was like an old popular. It's like a Western game. It's made by Rockstar, the same people that make Grand Theft Auto. But it's like it's like a cowboy Grand Theft Auto. You're an outlaw. And you ride around on a horse and shoot bad guys, and you have a gang that you do jobs for. And Red Dead Redemption 2 is kind of like one of the later series. I think it's the 4th or 5th game in that series, but it was like one of the greatest games that came out that year. I think it was about 4 years ago now. But it's a huge game. What's great is the game is super slow, like in the sense that like life back then was very slow. So like it's not like, oh, I quick travel to this place and things happen very fast. There's almost like built into it a slowness. Like it takes a while for you to walk from your tent to the fireplace to grab your food from the campfire. And like that, I loved it, man. I thought it was a really brilliant execution of what that world could be. And I'm again, it sucks now because I'm playing it like I'll be riding my horse and somebody's like, help me, this wolf's attacking me, and I'm like, sorry bro, I got this one mission I gotta get done
because it's gonna take me an hour to get there.
So but I mean honestly, it's a game, it's super rich. That's some of the things why those games are so great. There's so much, but I get lost in how much there is. And I'm specifically as a gamer being like, I'm gonna finish these games, I'm gonna play them all the way through, and then I can always go back and do all the side stuff if I want.
But that's really important to me. Is like when you buy a game, I really don't like for the game to be like over quickly.
Yeah.
Like, which is why fighting games started putting hidden characters in. That, like, you have the main, but you have to, like, you have a goal. So, like, after a while, like, unless you're, because a lot of people aren't going to go to tournaments and stuff. Like, if you're not going to tournaments and you're just buying a game to, like, play it in your house and it's not, like, fulfilling, then it's kind of like, why did I buy this game?
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree. Anything else you're geeking out about?
Shoot, man. I honestly, this is weird, but I just started geeking out on Survivor. Bro, I used to watch it in high school. I was
Destiny's
in high school
Child?
when it came out. No,
That's
like
a good
Survivor.
That's a good song.
Like Jeff Probst, Survivor, Outwit, Outlast, Survive. We watched, like, they put one of the new ones on Netflix, and we watched it. My girlfriend had never watched it, and I was like, oh, you didn't watch Survivor? Like, it was a cultural sensation when it was on. So we went back, and dude, it's like a time machine, bro. It's like, this is the world before 9/11, bro. Like, the first 2 seasons, and then you could see where that cultural shift happened. It's crazy. It really is like, I mean, the show itself is whatever, but it's like the experience of, like, watching what humans were like through these last 20 years, and watching that thing shift, and, like, how they all loved each other, and they were all family in the beginning, and now it's like this vindictive, hateful, evil thing where they sabotage each other constantly. It's crazy to watch this like cultural shift through the lens of Jeff Probst and Survivor. But I don't get to watch a lot of TV these days, so when I do, that's about what I'm watching.
Okay. I mean,
It's
Survivor.
weird. Even I admit it's weird. It's surprised even me.
Survivors. Can we geek out on Survivor, geeks?
Dude, you should see these forums. I found out there's a whole subculture. I mean, it was this massive show. They have roles for people like, oh, that dude's a goat. Like a goat is somebody that's kind of shitty that you take with you to the end so you can easily win in the final vote. So it's like rather than take somebody that's like a good competitor, you find a shitty person to bring with you along the way so you can beat him in the end. So that's what I'm saying. I was surprised too. There is like a geek culture about Survivor, and it surprised the hell out of me.
It's funny you talk about that. There's
geek
a TV
shaming,
show.
Duryea? Are you?
Oh, I will always geek shame. I mean, it wasn't a geek shame technically. It was just like because somebody wants to come on the show and they want to talk about pro wrestling, and I'm like, that's a sport. So can
it's
we
also
geek?
a geek thing though. That's like the geek sport.
But if I feel like if we can talk about wrestling, we can talk about football.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's
I don't think those two parallels are the same. Those two are entirely different. Wrestling is like a creative experience. It's a show. It's like by nature we know that it's set up, unlike football, which we just assume might be. But it's
Can
like,
we talk about,
there's fashion. There's
sexy wrestling, like with like the singlets and
lingerie,
like the college men. Sex.
Yeah, no, I have a couple friends out here that they do like LGBTQ wrestling matches and stuff, and they are fantastic. They are full of so much creativity and energy and life. I mean, it's I mean, but that's the thing. Like wrestling was most geeks' sport, so it's the thing they could be like, yeah, but I like athletic things. Like, look at these guys. They're marvels of what you can do with your body.
Can we geek out about gymnastics then?
We could. You'd want a different guest probably, because I would just be like, "That's amazing! That's amazing! That's amazing!"
Right. Okay. So I guess So is everybody done with their geek out? I don't have that many this week. It's crazy because the one time I don't bring a lot, we don't have a fifth chair. But all right. So first and foremost, I just want to talk about this story. Monique Coleman, who was in High School Musical, she came out with a story that said that she had to wear headbands in the show because nobody on set knew how to do black hair. And I was like, what? The thing that shocks me about that is like, this was back when like That's So Raven was on TV, and Raven's hair was always laid.
Yeah.
Always laid. And so I'm like, somebody at Disney knew how to do black hair.
Raven had all of them though. She kept them herself.
Cornered the market.
Back up.
Raven,
Raven probably had her own. Raven probably had her own that she brought into the show.
That's true.
Because Raven's been in the game for so long.
True.
And yes, she's probably had somebody that was like, nope, you're not going to give me just any old body to do my hair.
Brought her with him from the Cosby Show. Was like, this person's been with me my whole life.
Right. I just feel bad for her because I just think that's a massive oversight. It's like, granted it was a while ago, but like, do we not understand that that hair textures are different, so styling them will be different. So if we have this black character, we need to make sure that or at least put her on some decent wigs.
And it's like you get away with that excuse for 1 week, right? Like 1 week you go, oh, we don't have anybody that can do this, and we'll have that ready for you next week. And the fact that didn't happen, it's like, come on.
But you're talking about 1 week. This is Hollywood, and this is like one of the most lucrative franchises. They could have got somebody by the end of the day.
Yeah, they could have just opened a phone and picked up.
They really could have got somebody by the end of the day.
But that was like from the first one. So you have excuse for the first movie.
Yeah, you get one. You get one.
Right. But I think because she did say like she made the headband a part of her character's like characterization, so you could kind of keep on, but like still, though, like that's not a new thing in Hollywood where like. Yeah. Black actresses on majority white shows not having someone that can do their hair, not someone that can do their makeup. Like they've had to, what's her name? Like Yvette Nicole Brown from Community.
Yeah.
Talked about having to either already have her hair done or something like that, or do her own hair, and then probably already having her do her own makeup because whoever they have on set isn't capable.
Just isn't doing it.
Which is crazy.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
I think in the business we have to normalize ethnic hair.
Yeah.
And I mean it in like the business, not just like for characters who are like thugs. Because like my hair is ethnic hair, and I feel like I've seen people in every socioeconomic class. I've seen teachers. I haven't seen anybody who's like military or anything because military is different. But even still, like I've seen a lot of different people with multiple types of hairstyles, but like when it comes to black hairstyles, it seems like taboo if it's not leaning towards like trying to be like straight or loosely curvy. It becomes like an issue, and I'm like, well, no, everybody, black hair is just diverse. I mean, so I feel like we need to normalize it, especially on, it's normalized in all aspects, but especially on TV, because that is, people don't give TV the credit it deserves with how it sets the standard for a lot of things in our behaviors, because that is the example that a lot of people see of the rest of the world.
Absolutely. Dude, look at Will and Grace. I mean, like, it was like, before Will and Grace, like, homosexuality was just not, I mean, that's the thing. Again, not to bring up Survivor again, but damn it. First season of Survivor, people are like, you tell people you're a homosexual? Like, it's like, that's year 2000. That's not even that long ago. You know? And so it's just like that, like, I mean, obviously representation matters, but it's like, it's the whole business, too. It's like, this shouldn't be the question that the black actress has to ask when she gets on set. This should be something that's part of answering that question in development from the highest, from the head all the way down. Like, it's crazy.
And that goes all the way back to, like, you know, the people going to cosmetology school where they don't really necessarily teach about black hair. Or they might,
unless
like,
you go to a black cosmetology school.
Right. But, like, you got to find that.
Right.
But, like, you're around the way down the street cosmetology school, they're probably not going to talk about it.
What's crazy is, like, generally it's like either you go to a cosmetology school that teaches black hair, or you go to one that teaches white hair. Which is crazy to me because, okay, so my brother is a barber. And I guess my mentality is a little different than other people's. Also, he's like one of these, like, I'm a man, you know? So to me, it's like, all right, so you're a barber. You should learn how to do women's hair too. Oh, no, because men don't do that. I'm like, but women pay money too. Right? They will give you money.
Lots of money.
They will give you money. Just like a man will give you money. You might get more money from them. So if you're that dude.
The black hair business.
Hello. And I mean, my brother, he's my brother, so we share genes. So I like to think he's an attractive dude. And he's actually like, he's the kind of dude that girls would like to get their hair done by and be flirting with and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So like, to me, I would think any person, and I'm using that as an example to say, like, any person coming out to do hair, I would assume if I was going to be a beautician, I would know how to do everybody's hair. Because I want all of your money. I want the white people's hair. I want the black people's, the Asians, the Hispanics. I want everybody's cash because it's all green. So I want to know how to, so I'm going to get out of my school. I'm going to get my license. Then I'm going to go, so how can I do this press, curl, cuts? I want it all. So I think it's weird that some people only corner like, and I do understand that it takes a lot of time and studying. I get that. But I think it's weird that some people like do one thing and then they're like, okay, this is my thing and that's all I'm going to do. But I mean, it is what it is. I do think we should normalize it by teaching it across. Like, I feel like you go to cosmetology school, they should teach all of it.
Makes sense.
All right. My other thing I'm geeking out about is, okay, so I'm going to save my last one. I'm going to save this next one for last. So I started watching Titans because Rakia has been talking about Titans for like, I was like, oh, I'm so tired of talking about this. So I remember when it first came out, I was like, how is Starfire black, right? You know? And then somebody was like, well, technically she's orange. In the comic books, like her race of humans are orange. And then I saw this one thing that I thought was cool. What that they do is in one of the scenes early on, you know, her powers come from the sun, right? And so she finds there's this bunker because she has amnesia at first. There's this bunker that she finds with a tanning bed in it. And I was like, oh, so that's why she's black. I thought that's what they were going to say was that, well, you know, it makes sense like because she says that she doesn't retain her powers at night. So I was like, oh, so she's like tanning a lot. It would make sense that her skin would get darker. And I was like, is that how they're going to explain it? But no, that's not how they explain it. Apparently just all Tamaranians are black, which I'm actually fine with. I'm fine with it, you know. Well, I'm fine with it because the actress who portrays her does such an incredible job. And she does such an incredible job with that character. I'm used to Starfire. Like, I really love, like, spunky, kind of quirky, kind of like, I don't know what the hell's going on, Starfire. But I also like her Starfire, who's like, I know, even when she had amnesia, she still was like very alert. She was very perceptive. She's so sexy, but not in this slutty way, which there's probably a better word for it. But the sex is like she commands it. She's beautiful. She's powerful. She's just very empathetic. I really like this version of Starfire. I like the show as a whole. They have these really weird, cheesy moments for me that I kind of go, huh. But they're few because it's a TVMA show, right?
Right.
It's and so they'll like curse and say all these. They have these really real moments, and then something really ridiculously cheesy will happen, and I just literally want to vomit because it doesn't feel like they it meshes with the rest of this environment.
Karaoke scene?
I haven't seen the karaoke scene. The scene I'm talking about, the thing that sticks out to me most is, and it might be because no offense, but I feel like sometimes when you ask child actors to do like really adult things, it doesn't come across because they can't really relate yet.
Right.
And I don't think you should write adult stuff for child actors anyway. Not all the time, because a lot of times they don't have the frame of reference yet. But anyway, so there's this scene with these two young actors, and it's Robin and Wonder Girl. And it's the first scene it's the first episode where they introduce Wonder Girl, but it's the very first scene where they're children. And they try to establish this relationship. The adult actors, the relationship was very clear. I was like, oh, that's who they are. But they tried to have that same relationship with them as children, and it just came across as like really gross and cheesy. Like, because I feel like instead of letting that relationship be like, it was the same relationship, but I was like, but it wouldn't be the same relationship because they're children. It would be like the seeds of this relationship. And so there's these weird moments, but other than that, I really like it. I kind of was tired of Raven crying all the time. Like, I was like, Raven to me is like, she's so like badass and like dry and this, and I love that version of Raven. So this like overly emotional, always crying, like scared, never saving herself Raven, I was like, who is this? Because Raven's my favorite character. But the show's really good if you haven't seen it. I'm not done with it yet. I'm on season 2. I'm kind of I feel like the 2 seasons are different though. I feel like season 1 felt like a totally different show than season 2.
Yeah, I can see that.
Have you seen it, Chris? Because you look blank right now. You don't know. Okay. You should watch it.
I've not seen it.
You should watch it so we can do an episode about it because it's only 2 seasons.
Also,
it's really good.
Yeah, also, like, so we had mentioned it, I think the first time I had talked about Titans with, because the fact that Cyborg isn't on Titans. He's on their other show, Doom Patrol.
Right.
So he's in Doom Patrol. So I hadn't realized that until I started, like, watching Doom Patrol.
Yeah, which is cool. How do you introduce the spin-off episode to a TV show 3 episodes in to a new show?
Right.
Like the spin-off episode for Doom Patrol was the 3rd episode of the 1st season of Titans. But honestly, I think this is the best thing DC has done. I will say that. I mean, I like Wonder Woman, but I think this is better. I think the acting's really good. I love the women. I really like the women, actually, especially the lady who plays Dove. Mm-hmm. I like her. I like her acting a lot.
Kelly? Yeah.
I think so. I like all of the actors, actually. I don't really have a problem with a lot of their acting. I was kind of disappointed that they actually, like, the whole 1st season, they wouldn't let us see Bruce Wayne's face, and then the 2nd season, they let us see his face.
Yeah.
I was like, so then why did you hide us? I thought the point was to not make him a character.
I would have been okay with not seeing his face.
I would have been okay with him not being a character.
Right.
Well, not being actually portrayed on film. I thought he was Alfred at first when he came on the screen. I did, because they did the older Bruce Wayne. I really like the fact that they did the older Bruce Wayne, but I did not like the fact that we saw him. For some reason. Like, there was all this mystery around him, and then when we saw him, I was just like, oh, it's Alfred.
There he is, yeah.
Right. I like that they're doing, like, the like next season they're gonna have like the Starfire in her full costume.
Yes,
I'm excited about
bringing sister. They're bringing, was it Blackfire?
I think have you seen the end of season 2?
Yes, but like I think she's supposed to be like part of.
She's main cast next season. Yeah. I haven't seen that part yet. I just know I did some reading to talk about it tonight. They cast a 3rd Robin. I just think the show is really good. It's got potential. Now that it's not a DC Universal internet show, it's going to be an HBO Max show. I think they're going to get more money. They're probably going to have more, I don't want to say better writers, because I don't really have a problem, but I think they're going to put more money behind it, and they're going to make it like this. Because, HBO has this standard for the type of the energy that their shows has, and I think it's going to be that. I'm so excited to see it. I'm so excited to watch it.
All right, I think the showrunner for Titans is Greg Berlanti.
Who is?
He's the same one for like all the DC shows on like the CW, like Arrow, The Flash.
Flash was
Well, that's why it's cheesy.
Yeah, some of that is in there. Yeah.
Because I was wondering, I was like, this is a TVMA show, but all they do is curse. I mean, they curse a lot. They use which I like because I feel like I'm writing a book right now. It's called Bandits. It's about these 18 and 19-year-olds, and they're like all orphans. And so, like, somebody was reading the book, they were like, it reads like a YA book because of their age and stuff like that. But they, like, one of the characters curses so much. And they're like, he shouldn't curse. And I'm like, but when I was his age, that's how we talked. So to me, I like that they're letting them talk like actual people and not like making it too cookie cutter. But I was expecting this as TVMA. I didn't see no. I saw a little bit of ass. There was a little bit of ass in that one scene where Dub and Hawk had first hooked up. But I didn't see that. Like there was no nudity. There's a little bit of blood, but it's not like really gory. So it was interesting. All right, my last thing that I'm geeking. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. No, go ahead. I'm done.
No, say it.
No, I was just saying, like, yeah, Greg Berlanti has his hand in, like, all the DC, like, TV shows. All of them.
I dug The Flash a lot. I don't usually get down on a lot of DC.
Flash.
The Flash was dope.
I have a close friend. Well, I guess we're not close anymore. I consider him a close friend. I love that guy. But I haven't really seen him since high school. But his name is Carlos Valdez. He's on The Flash. He plays. I haven't seen it. I'm so bad I haven't seen it. But he plays. He plays he's the dude with the long wavy hair and the glasses.
Oh.
The tech dude? Dude,
really?
He's brilliant. He's the best thing about that show.
Let me tell you something.
Bro,
let me tell you something about Carlos. I met Carlos. Yeah, he went to school with EJ and all them.
Mercy.
Yeah, I met him at GHP. When I tell you, he was my nigga at GHP. Like, we used to just crack up at everything. We never were serious. He's one of the kindest people I've ever met, right? And then when it was like later that year after GHP, they have this thing at Pebblebrook called what is it thing? Show choir or something like that. Show troupe, something like that. So I go to see the show because my friends invite me, and this is the second show I had seen of them. The first show I'd seen with him in it, he had to play me, which was surreal. But anyway, he's singing this song, and oh my God, that man has the voice of an angel.
I love it.
He can sing the pants off of anybody. He started singing. I was like, why do they have him lip singing?
And you ain't watched the show, bro? And you ain't
I haven't watched the show. He's my friend.
Your friend's show?
I don't. Let me tell you what I don't do. I'm really weird about watching stuff that my friends are on, because I'm one of those people who gets like either like really critical, or if I like I told you, I like watching Hugh Jackman, but I hate him for an hour and a half. So it's like I have a few friends that are either on TV shows or stuff, and I like support it. I like and share their stuff, but I don't watch it because I don't want to have like a thing. I don't want to have.
I'll like and share The Flash, but I won't watch it.
I haven't seen The Flash because
you got to see it. It's really good.
I'm sure it's good. Everybody says it's good.
I love it.
I'm sure it
did a good job. It gets crazy. Even I don't watch it now. I don't know if it's continuing now, but it was like it had me for a few. I was like, this is like a really well done. Like I was hyped on it.
I'll probably watch The Flash when it's over, and I can just like binge it. Okay, so this last thing.
Season. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Then I'll watch it after this. This last thing that I'm geeking out about, I know I'm going to get some pushback. So I watched the final episode of, I finally finished Supernatural.
Good for you, Durga. Good for you.
Yay.
Look, that's a long time. I've seen 15 years worth of content for that show. And here's the pushback. After seeing that show, I feel that the last 2 episodes of Supernatural were better than the finales of both Angel and Buffy.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and take Julia out of this show right now. Bye, Julia. Bye.
Removed.
You know, and I stand by that. I really feel like those were, and I love Buffy and Angel. But I feel like Supernatural did a better job of, when I tell you that I cried I boo-hooed. I didn't want. You know how when you're watching a TV show and you feel like you're gonna cry a little bit, you do one of those first, and then when your emotions say, "Oh no, it's not one of those. You're not getting rid of me that quick," and then I start crying a little bit, and then after a while, I was literally like, "Huh?" I didn't cry at the end of Buffy. I didn't. The only part I was sad at the end of Buffy was when Anya died. But then, let me tell you, the way that they did Anya's death was so like, if you blinked, you missed the fact that she died. You missed it. But when the characters that died in Supernatural died, you absolutely didn't miss it. They held you in that moment, and they squeezed. And you know, sometimes when they squeeze a moment, it feels like, okay, there's a character that died who I hated. And if you've seen the show before, you know what I'm talking about. I hated this character so much. And he's dying, and he's giving this incredibly long monologue. And even though I hate his character, I am sobbing. How do you make a character that I despise, and I'm sitting here sobbing? It's not even like, oh man, it's sad. I'm sobbing. My face was wet. And then I just didn't stop crying after that. And this happened at the beginning of the episode. I cried for the rest of the episode over these two dudes who I'm not sleeping with. I don't know them. You know what I'm saying?
Not yet.
Right. And so I'm like, oh my God. Look, also, you have to think about this. Supernatural has this really, really, really incredible way. A show that's on that long usually loses its funk. Mm-hmm. It didn't. The same energy it had about how it uses lore and mythology and biblical stories and how it expounds on them and like surprises you still with stuff that you think you already knew. That ended up at the last episode, like that, which is why I include both episodes, because they to me had two finale episodes. Now the one episode was about like wrapping up the storylines of the whole series, and the last one was dealing with a certain death, right? So wrapping up the storylines of the whole series. There's no way, after everything that they've been through, who they fought, there's no way you could have ended that show. I'm thinking, watching it, like, how are they going to end this? Like, spoiler alert, the last big bad is God. That's the person they're trying to, like, they're fighting at the end. So I'm like, how is this going to make sense? This is going to be ridiculous. They're going to come up with some really stupid, last-minute thing. It's not going to make any... No. It made sense. It was heartfelt. It was impactful. It was poignant. It was just brilliant and beautiful. And I feel like I love Buffy, but Buffy didn't do to me what that did in tying the entire series together, like from the first episode. Buffy was very well done. Don't get it twisted. Buffy to me, up until that point, was the best. But dude, you have 15 years of a show. You don't lose your luster. You still have... They could have continued going because they still had the fan base watching it. And it was just super impactful, and I stand by it. And if you haven't seen it, you have to see it, but you have to watch the whole show to understand why it was so good. Who's seen it?
No, I haven't seen it.
I've got a friend who's working on the spinoff for it right now.
There's a spinoff?
They're working on one in development right now. It's pretty exciting.
Is it about the ladies?
It's the ladies, yeah.
Yes! I was waiting for that. Waiting for that. That's definitely needs to happen. But anyway, all right, that's what we're geeking out about. All right, so we're gonna move into our major segment where we're gonna talk about the X-Men film franchise. But first, let us pause for a really short ad break where you're gonna hear some new music from artist ACA out of Columbus, Georgia. Their new song called "Fix It" is available on Spotify, YouTube, wherever you listen to music. And here's a little sample.
I see them standing in the streets, probably wishing that we could meet, but I just stare and frown, and still the world goes round and hear them cry, but I don't move away. I guess I'll save it for another day. I see a brother, strong and full of heart, and he's meant to go far, but he's scared of driving in his car, cause he might get put over.
Alrighty, that was ACA's new music. You can find them at ACA Music on Facebook. You can find them on YouTube. Also, that was Master of Rem from Rem Alternis. Master of Rem, you can find them on twitch.tv/Master of Rem. They have a lot of incredible content. They also have RPG Shadowrun games every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. I will be there playing a mage of some sort, always with the magery. And they also have a Kickstarter that's coming up soon about a show that is it's a graphic novel called Coddlesworth Clockwork Circus, which is a steampunk fantasy about it's like it's a world of steampunk, and then all of a sudden magic is awakened. So it sounds awesome. Check that out. And that's that. All right, so let's talk about these X-Men film franchises. Anybody who knows me or Chris understands that, like, we get into some X-Men, okay? Chris says it's his favorite. That's debatable because I think it's my favorite, and we can't have the same favorites.
Ma'am.
Yeah,
ma'am, calm
can't
down.
No.
I've been loving X-Men since you were in diapers, so calm down.
What do you mean? You're like 2 years older than me. What are you talking about?
I'm like 4 years older than you.
You told me your age before the show, and I'm 2 years younger than you. So we were in diapers at the same time. So we was both watching X-Men in diapers. Okay.
Fine.
However, a pull up.
Right. However, what I will say is the franchise did a lot of amazing things, but it also left a lot to be desired. So
the film franchise specifically.
The film franchise specifically. Yes. And some of the animated franchises too. Side note, I saw this clip of this Japanese anime version of the X-Men where Storm is basically white. I say basically because she's depicted as a white woman, but I don't know the storyline. So I don't know if she was actually like, I don't know what they did with her heritage, but the look of her, slender nose, slender lips.
What a weird character to do that with.
It's in Japan, though. It's in Japan, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm not that surprised, but it still sucks that it was produced.
Of all the ones.
Right. So, all right. So, we're going to talk about the film franchise. I'm going to start with the first one. All right.
Okay.
So, the reason I'm starting with the first one is because I feel like people give the first one a bad rep, but if it was not for the success of that first film, we would not be experiencing any of the superhero stuff we're seeing right now. And people want to give credit to, like, Blade and all the other stuff. Was like, but Blade was not seen as a superhero film. It was seen as a vampire movie, and that was back.
Or a success. I mean,
Blade was successful. Blade was successful.
That successful?
It was successful. Well, the thing about Blade was it was successful enough to get a second and third. It wasn't successful enough to start a superhero craze because it wasn't seen as a superhero movie. It was a vampire movie in an age where vampire movies were popular.
Big, yeah.
So it wasn't really given that same, like, oh, this is like, it wasn't like that for them. So I feel like X-Men, when it came out, it showed, because other than X-Men, you had superhero, you had, I think, Superman and Batman. But those were solo films, right? When you think of the Avengers, even Iron Man, like, these are all people you've heard of, but if you're not like a comic book person, you don't know, right? So when you take a genre, like a movie like a franchise like X-Men, and you put it on film, and you have all of these incredible actors sharing the film, and it actually is successful, people like it, and then want another one, you realize, there's an untapped market here because there's all of this content. Like there's all of this comic book content that is still being produced today. They're still making new ones that we just haven't touched. So let's see what's here, right? And then you got, I think after that was like the Daredevils and the Spider-Mans and the Fantastic Fours. And even those movies that people give a lot of like a shit to, those movies, mistakes are why the MCU works now. Let's be clear. If those movies...
Those first two Hulks, terrible. But now Hulk is amazing.
We had to figure it out, which I'm fine with. So I have to give X-Men 1 its flowers because to me, it started the craze. Period.
Well, it's like, but the reason it succeeded so well was because there was half the people that went and saw that movie saw it because they knew what X-Men were. They saw the animated show. They played the video games. The other half was the family of those people. And what did they fill that freaking movie with? You got Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart, two of the greatest Shakespearean actors that have ever lived. I can go watch them with Peter Brook for fucking 12 hours and be thrilled about it. Like Marvel, where I think they've succeeded over DC time and time and time again is their casting. Their casting is amazing. Yes. I mean, I know you don't like Wolverine, but Hugh Jackman was.
But the casting,
Wolverine.
I can't.
And it's like,
I don't know who else. There's some actors now, but then I don't know who they would have.
Right.
He was
at the time, especially. Yeah. And then it's, I mean, dude, Halle Berry fucking holding down Storm. And it's like, and then even bringing in, I'm forgetting his name now, for Toad. And it was just like, there wasn't a small, like, bad part in that movie as far as the actors were concerned. There was bad writing all over the franchise.
I'm so glad you said that. Wait, let me pause.
Phenomenal.
Let me pause on you right quick. Just because I'm so glad, I want to reiterate something you just said. So many people give the actors a bad rep, specifically Halle Berry. And I'm like, her acting wasn't the problem.
No.
It was the writing. Like, they didn't write her any good. Like, Storm is very talkative. What do you mean? Storm got mouth. Storm always got something to say in the comic books. I am the bringer of winds, bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, she come in like, do you know? And Storm had like 4 lines in the movie.
They gave her nothing to work on.
And the sad is, like, they did that for majority of, like, the time that they've written her.
Yeah. Well, in the third movie, she had a lot of lines, but that's because they killed Cyclops off immediately, and then Jean Grey was like going crazy. So it had to be.
Okay, let's wait to talk about the third movie.
We'll get to the third movie, right? So let's just stay on the first. You're right. So for me, the biggest disappointment of the third film, if you've seen X-Men Evolution, they to me were what the films should have been when it comes to plot and writing. Point in case, how they handled Rogue. Rogue never got her, in X-Men Evolution, she never got her super strength or flight. However, she was a badass in X-Men Evolution. She was still a badass, even without those powers. So let's not even say it's about the powers. You wrote Rogue as not a badass, and I blame you. So they did this whole thing like in X-Men Evolution, because you realize Rogue was not always a good X-Men. The cool thing about Rogue was when they first met her, it was like a battle between the Brotherhood and the X-Men to get her on their team. And at the end of it, she actually ended up going with the Brotherhood. Which would have been so cool as a movie series for that to have been the first movie. Like, we're trying to get Rogue and we're fighting over who gets her. And instead of her landing where we know she lands with the Brotherhood, which only people in the comics know about. So all the other people are like, what? And I mean, granted, the movie still had a following, but that story would have been so much more effective, and it would have started her character off on a much more interesting storyline, because then we would have had to see her battle with her conscience instead of just being like, oh, I don't want to be a mutant because I can't touch people.
Right.
Hello.
Chris, say it. Say what you want to say, Chris.
Well, because Rogue is my favorite character of the X-Men franchise ever. Like, I just love her. She's the perfect Southern Belle, but also that power is so powerful. Like, she can take any other mutant's power, and then I did love when she stole Captain Marvel's power and she had the flight, she had the super strength, and so I mean, it pissed me off. However, I will say that first X-Men movie, which we're still talking about, is one of my favorites of that entire series.
Wow.
I don't know why, because because of the purity of it. I feel like, I mean, it was the first, and it was not done the best, but it did have that purity. Like, I don't know, there were some of the other ones, especially the third one, that I had major problems with.
We'll get there.
And we'll get there. But I actually like the first one almost, maybe not the best, but it's one of my favorites.
You have to like the first one.
Yeah. I think the second is probably the strongest of the three.
The second one is the strongest to me.
The three,
of the franchise.
It is.
I have it at
the second
number
one
4
is.
For me.
Oh, you actually came with a list.
I came with a list.
The reason I give it the strongest of the franchise is kind of like why The Empire Strikes Back is the strongest of the franchise. Like, granted, the other ones might have been better because of like technology, all that stuff. But The Empire Strikes Back was like like
Yeah.
it was like
No
when
one
I
was
was
ready
watching
for that,
X-Men X2. First of all, they reduced Wolverine's. Okay, so we're moving on to the second one. All right, so
We're moving.
All right, so the first one bothered me because it was like, you know, Wolverine and friends, and I'm just like, I've said this on the show before. In order to make Wolverine the focus, they had to downplay the other characters and their abilities. Specifically, like Jean Grey. Like in the second movie, there's this scene. One of my favorite scenes is the jet scene when they're like, "Don't we have any weapons in this heat?" And then Halle Berry goes, "Yes, we motherfucking do." Right? You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, I was like, this is Storm. Like, tornadoes everywhere. I was like, this is motherfucking Storm. And she did it without breaking a sweat. She was still driving the jet, bruh. She driving the jet and twirling the freaking tornadoes, right? And then, but this is the issue I had. But then, first of all, she could have just said zap, zap, zap and got rid of those jets for one. But you want to make it exciting. And I'm so glad that they didn't just have her zap the jets. But then with Jean Grey could have took out them torpedoes, bro. She could have took out them torpedoes.
Don't be calling her some like level 17 mutant in the third movie, and then acting like she can't do nothing in the second movie.
She's sitting there like struggling with this one. Now, granted, Jean Grey is known for a good feint. Okay, in the comic books, she will pass the fuck out. This is what we
power.
know.
Fall
She needs a fainting couch.
But she'll use the power first. Okay,
Yeah.
she'll do some epic stuff and then pass out.
And then fall asleep.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, come on, because she could have lived.
I can relate to that.
I think we all can at some point. I feel like they could have really like let her be, because if you want to hint at the Phoenix coming, which they did in that movie, like, don't hint at it. Like, let us know, because before she was Dark Phoenix, she was Phoenix.
She was Phoenix.
She was
right.
the regular Phoenix.
She was Phoenix.
Imcron Crystal and
All that stuff.
Yeah.
Which I'm so mad. Like, we're gonna get to Dark Phoenix too, but I'm so mad that they didn't go into the actual just what it was. Like, they kind of we'll go.
It was
we'll
so
go.
good. Yeah.
We'll go. But like, to me, it's like, okay, you have the second one. You're hinting toward the Phoenix. Okay, her powers are evolving. We keep hearing this like bird cry, and we see the fire. But like, let us see some fire, dude. Like, that whole end scene. Now, granted, special effects back then, that was epic. When she was holding the jet and the water, that was epic. But that should have been the first scene.
Right.
If you're hinting at the Phoenix.
Yeah.
You're talking about this woman who can swallow a world. So the first thing we should have seen her do was hold back this little itty bitty tidal wave. That's how I feel about it. What do y'all think?
I'm a Wolverine guy. So, I have to say, I totally agree with everything you said. Like, it's like, I loved Wolverine because when I was like 7 years old, I had a dream I had claws and I was climbing up a building, and it was the best dream I ever had in my life. So it's like, that dude had me from then on for the rest of my life. He was going to be my favorite. And so, but I agree, like, as a writer or a director, producer, or whatever, it's like, you can see where they're like, how do we like include Wolverine in this? And then it's like, okay, well, how do we include these other immensely powerful, cosmic level powerful beings where homie can just like smell real good, he's got some claws and his skin heals. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, that is nothing in comparison to half the people that are around him, even in the films. And so I'll agree with you on that, man. Now, granted, you give me any Wolverine and I'm always going to be happy. Just throw a little bit, put him in a corner. I don't think it would have bothered me if they did to Wolverine what they did to Hawkeye and Black Widow. Right. Yeah.
Black Widow and Hawkeye, they were, the thing about it is that the Avengers shows you that you can have a god fighting next to just a human who can fight well.
Right. And
they both complement each other. You don't have to make Thor weak to make her and him seem badass. Like, we like the fact that when Hawkeye has an arrow, we know what's up.
Yep.
He's not going to try to go for the big monster in the sky. That's not his job. The Hulk going to do that while he fights.
He's taking out the flying guys.
Right. Yeah. They could have done that in X-Men. Like, all right, because you're awesome at this, go do that awesome thing. But what they did, they made all the really fun scenes. They gave them to him. And they always involved him killing a bunch of just army dudes. Which to me was not entertaining after the second film. Because...
Especially after the second film, because they already told his whole story after the second film. And why are you doing more? Like, that's what I'm mad about. Like, why are you doing more? You told his whole fucking backstory, the whole thing
So
in the second film,
And
and
then they
now we
still
gotta
made
go make
Origins.
3 more films
Right.
about him?
Yeah.
Why?
And then they did him wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong.
The X-Men or Wolverine, this is what made me upset about it.
Worst movie.
I was like, I actually went and saw X-Men Origins, and I'll say the initial goal was for them to make multiple X-Men Origins. The second was supposed to be Magneto, and then they were talking about doing a Storm one. Side note, there is a possibility that there will be a Storm. They talked about they're doing a Storm standalone project. I think the question is whether it's going to be a television show or a movie. Which would you in the comments, if y'all are watching, would y'all rather it be? Would y'all rather a Storm standalone project be a movie or a series?
TV.
I'm gonna say a series. I'm gonna say a series and a TV show. And a movie. I'm gonna say a series because it'll be like it'll be
all of it.
Yeah, because the series will have more content. The movie will have a bigger budget, which means we'll get to see her do more epic shit. So, but
I want the movie first, and then give me the series.
I would rather the series leading up to the movie. Because the series could like lay the groundwork for how she like survived in Egypt after her parents died and yada yada and how her powers got strong, and then we like introduce this big bad that's
And
like,
then all of those people can hate the movie. It'll be great.
possibly. Because you know for a fact, like there's gonna be certain fans like, I like this is what I like about you, Bam. It's like you're like, nope. I mean, I agree, but I still like Wolverine.
Yeah, I can't help it. Yeah,
Me too. I'm that type of like me. People are like, "Oh, Storm is the worst. Halle Berry was the worst Storm." I said lies, lies to me. Like Storm had a few epic moments to me as Halle Berry. Like when she killed Callisto in the third one, I was like, Callisto's the girl who could run real fast and kept popping her, but she fried her on the fence.
Yep.
Yeah, I was like, yes, kill somebody, Storm, because Storm is an assassin. People don't know in the comic book she's like a legit assassin. Like that's what she does.
She will murk you.
Storm will murk the shit out of you.
How many times have you seen her in the comic books hit somebody with lightning? Like, what do you think happens after that? Like, what do you think? It's just like, oh, right. I mean, because she's not like a little flash of lightning. She's like, bah! That's a lot of electricity. Okay,
no, Storm's a bad bitch. She's like one of the baddest.
Real talk.
I also don't like how they did Mystique in any of the films. Let me be clear.
Okay. Please
In
talk
any of the
Rebecca
films.
Romaine?
It's not the actor that I have a problem with. Mystique in the comic books, movies, series. I'm sorry, the comic books and series is always she's always talking shit. Always. She's always got some smart to say, and she got the hands to back it up. So the fact that they made her mute for 3 movies, I was like, only the one line she got was when Nightcrawler was talking to her, was like, you can mimic everybody, even the voice. She says, even the voice. That was her biggest line. I was like, what the fuck? Like, come on, Mystique had a problem with everybody, and she wanted smoke all the time.
She's a great villain. You kind of hated she was good to hate though. Like you wanted to be mad at Mystique all the time. She was, and they totally let that go.
And then they tried to make her a hero. I was so looking forward to. Okay, we're skipping ahead, but I was afraid in the first few movies. I didn't like that she was a mute. And then in the third one, can we move to the third one now, or does anyone have any thoughts on the second one?
Yes, let's go to the third one, because my biggest disappointment.
In the third one, to me, was the worst of the whole franchise.
The biggest disappointment.
Biggest disappointment.
Of my life.
Except for Storm. This is the movie where Storm actually got the most action.
Could do some stuff, yeah.
But you're going to give me a movie... And you're gonna like introduce some Dark Phoenix shit, like the Phoenix Saga. Rogue is my bitch; she's my favorite. But the Phoenix Saga is like
everything
the best.
That should have been 4 movies.
Yeah, and then we would have got Guardians ties in.
Fuck it up so bad with this bullshit.
Right?
Bullshit.
I didn't see her use fire one time in that movie. One time. She disintegrated a bunch of folks, but like the only time there was fire, it's because I think there was something else exploded something, and then she just happened to be the cause of why that like I think it was like an air tank or something. And I'm like, she can do this herself. She can burn this planet,
the whole flame.
Yet she can't create a flame. What is this? I feel, and the crazy thing about that is like, okay, hey Duryea, we want you to write an X-Men film. Okay, first thing I'm gonna do as a human being with a brain is go research the X-Men.
Yeah.
What do y'all want this film to touch on? Oh, we want it to touch on the Dark Phoenix saga. Okay, the first thing I'm gonna do is go research. Now, even if do y'all want this to be one film or 3 films? Like, okay, one film. Y'all want to cram all this in one film? Okay, cool. Well, I mean,
even The Hobbit was 3 movies, bro.
Hello, let's talk about this. Phoenix in every incarnation, and I'm not talking about the X-Men, I'm talking about like the actual Phoenix, is always a bird of fire. Always.
It's the thing it's known for.
You literally don't have to tell me it is a bird of fire. Yet, but we don't want no fire for this Phoenix. So y'all want to change her name? Airbird? Disintegration? I was like, what do you want to call this? Right? Like, how do you want to address the fact that she doesn't have fire? Okay, so fine. Not even to address the fact of how she's the Phoenix. I decided to lay traps in her mind and hide away this alter ego. No.
Horrible. Literally horrible. It is a space entity that fucking like
devours worlds.
It's a fucking space entity. What planet did they invent this horrible storyline on?
Which I get though, because they're thinking like, okay, we want to do Phoenix. It's like they came too quick. They moved to Phoenix too quickly. I think that's what it was. I think what happens is this. We have the X-Men, and we want to go for the things that people know and that are popular, instead of doing what Marvel did and be like, fuck that. There's all this incredible content. It's all incredible. Who cares what's popular? As long as it's good, people will like it.
Right.
Yes.
We're going to get it right.
As long as we get it right, people will like it, right?
Right.
But instead of doing that, they said, let's go for something everybody knows, Phoenix. Okay, so let's do that. She's not that powerful in the first movie, but second movie, but I will buy that she died and came back more powerful. What I will not buy is that you show me a bird of fire underneath that water at the end of X-Men 2. And then I never see any fire.
I never see it.
Like, you actually showed us a bird of fire at the end of X-Men 2, and then there was no bird of fire to be seen. So I'm like, okay, all right, I'll buy that.
I think that's too, like, that's why 3 was such a letdown, was how good 2 was. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, you guys actually did a great job setting up what's to come, and then this is what you gave us after that?
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. That is exactly what it is. Go ahead, Chris.
I will take Lady Deathstrike from 2, Phoenix from 3 any day. Like, this is just, and I don't even like, Lady Deathstrike's a bitch. Like, I don't even like her, but
Kiriko or whatever.
Oh.
Well, I liked and then I didn't like what they did with Lady Deathstrike, because I liked the fact that she was present and she was a badass. I didn't like that they didn't let her have her little stretchy
scary
powers.
Adamantine fingers.
Yes.
She could also stretch her limbs and stuff, and I was like, that would have been epic in a movie. Yeah. But I will buy that we didn't do that because budget. Because I would be honest, like, when that movie was made, it was the most expensive movie I want to say that had ever been made at that point, which is understandable. Think about that scene that we were talking about with Storm. That scene alone was probably like a lot of money. And they had like a lot. They had that opening sequence with Nightcrawler, to me, is one of the best opening sequences to a movie ever. You're just like, that's how it started. It's just like, that's how you introduce a character that a lot of people don't know about and do it right. And then everyone's immediately a fan. Within 5 minutes of that movie, everyone was like, Nightcrawler's a badass, period.
So dope, yeah.
But then he never did anything else like that in the movie. It's like, you have these incredibly cool characters, and you know they're cool, and I get it, budget requirements and this, that, and the third, and you want to spread it out, which I'm fine with. Which is why I feel like what they needed to do with the whole franchise is they needed to reduce on the amount of Magneto presence and Wolverine presence. I feel like because we know Magneto so well and he's in every movie, now we start to root for him like a good guy when he's not supposed to really be visible that much. Usually he's always in the shadows until it's revealed that he's the one pulling the strings. Which makes us scared of him, right? But you humanize him, you put him in our faces all the time, but then you always make him the villain, which we know they're not going to kill him at this point. after 6-7 movies. So it's like you could have did Mr. Sinister, you could have did you could have did Apocalypse better. You could have done the Morlocks. You could have done so many.
The Morlocks.
Morlocks, bro. Great.
That could have been a whole movie
social
in and of itself.
commentary in it.
That could have been that could have been X-Men 3.
Yep.
You could have just let Phoenix like be not in X-Men 3 at all, right? And
Stay in
then
the water.
we have this intense battle publicly between these mutants that are so disfigured they can't show themselves in public and the X-Men, which also would have gave a really cool budget conscious version of Storm, because Storm and the Queen of the Morlocks go head to head in armed combat where they can't use their powers. So that would have been an epic scene.
Dope,
there would have been so much cool stuff there. And then you reintroduce the Phoenix. She comes back at the end of the third movie, and you see her like rise up out of the fire or something like that. That's how it ends. That's what you do for some shit like that when you set up a world. The third movie was the most disappointing in the series. I'm sorry.
In that particular series, I think Wolverine Origins is the worst. That's an X-Men movie that was ever made. I can't even believe what they did.
It was shamefully good. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I enjoyed it, but I hated it. Once I decided after like the first 5 minutes, once they said that Wolverine and Sabretooth were brothers, I said, okay, so it's gonna be that movie. So I immediately let go of everything I knew about the comics. I said they already in the first 5 minutes have fucked up the story.
Done their own thing. Yeah.
So I said they're going to do whatever. I really liked. What did I like about? There was something about the movie I liked. But I feel like they ruined it with. They introduced Emma Frost in that movie as an 18-year-old who was the younger sister.
Characters.
Yeah, but Emma Frost, a native to the UK, was introduced as the younger sister to a native of America, like a Native American young woman who was. And the crazy thing about it was, okay, so Silver Fox was introduced as Emma Frost's older sister.
What?
Emma Frost is a blonde white woman from England. Silver Fox is a Native American. So, but okay, I'll let that go too. But you introduce her as an 18-year-old girl in the 80s. And you also introduced Cyclops in that movie as like an 18-year-old boy in the 80s, which I guess is consistent with X-Men Apocalypse, but not as consistent with the other version of Cyclops they had.
Yeah.
But okay. But then
Deadpool.
Then Deadpool, who is nothing like the Deadpool who he eventually the right Deadpool.
It was the worst character design I've ever seen in my life.
But that is thanks for saying that. That's what I liked about X-Men Origins was that that final scene where Deadpool was fucking his ass up.
Yeah.
That was fun for me to watch because Wolverine was getting his ass kicked. I was like, finally. Finally. Like,
I'm like, leave him alone.
No, this is what would happen, dude. If you fight anybody that's not human, bro, you're getting your ass handed to you. Yeah. But the best part about, but there were all those things that were wrong about the movie. But then you let that go, right? It just wasn't well written. It wasn't well executed.
Yeah.
It
wasn't a poorly made film, honestly.
The second one was better.
I mean, I think to me it's crazy because they're opposite ends, but it's like Logan, which is probably my favorite, and then that too. It's funny that on either end of the spectrum I have Wolverine movies.
The second one was good.
Yeah.
The second Wolverine movie, Wolverine, what that was called.
Yeah.
That one was good. It was just it was
got that Japan, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I like that one. It was cool because it didn't really fuck with any of the lore of Wolverine. It didn't twist anything. It just was a movie where
it kind of picked a spot that the lore is a little muddled on anyway. You know what I mean? So they were like, you can kind of get away with whatever you want in that storyline. I'm down,
Which was smart of them to do. And, where it was in the X-Men timeline, it was just sometime after Phoenix had died, I think. So it didn't have to be specific. So that's why you could just sit back and watch that movie and just enjoy it. Because you didn't have to question like, well, this isn't right. That's not right. And they also, I don't know if these were actual characters, but his sidekick in that movie, the young lady with the swords, she was epic.
Dope, yeah.
She was epic. And then the lady who was like the snake with the poison, she was epic too. I don't even know who those mutants were. I was like, I'm fine with you creating a character that's not real. I'm fine with you doing that. I'd much rather you do that than take a character who is a character
that I know a lot about
and
ruin
fuck it up. And just like royally fuck it up. Yeah.
It's about mutants. It makes sense that there's characters that we don't know about. You can bring a new character in. That's fine.
Yeah.
What
The
about
third one.
What? Oh, we still on the third movie?
I was going to the third
thought
Logan. The
Oh,
third
the third
Wolverine
Logan.
movie. Yeah.
That's Bay for me, bro. I think Logan is the the best execution of a high, like we're talking like Citizen Kane level story mixed in with the fact that these are all superheroes and stuff. You've got Patrick Stewart delivering like soul-crushing monologues.
Really good in
I mean,
that
because
movie.
he's older now too, so it's like we feel like we're letting Patrick Stewart go. You know, like it's like we're getting the end of Picard, we're getting the end of him. It's like there was such a I cried like throughout that whole film. It was just like one touching moment after. Dude, for real, it just blew my mind. I was like, is this legitimately like? That's why I love drawing that parallel between Wolverine Origins and that. It's like, how could I be so disappointed by the film creation experience and then have like that same character years later in one of the most evocative superhero stories I've ever seen. It's so human. It's a human superhero story, and it was brilliantly done. That to me is like the pinnacle of filmmaking.
Do you think they're gonna bring Patrick Stewart into the MCU?
They've been talking about it. I hope they don't. I really hope, unless it's on some like cameo stuff like they're doing with Doctor Strange, how they're gonna have a cameo from Andrew Garfield, is that his name?
Yeah.
And Tobey Maguire. Like if it's something like that, yes, I'm here for it. Like a multiverse of madness, we see Patrick Stewart, he has some cool scene. Yes, I'm down for that. But as Professor X, no. Like,
and it's like, I think he got his ending. You know what I mean? That movie, like that character has now a perfect ending. Like, why would you want to fuck that up by risking like? But then he came over here and hung out with Chris Pratt. You know, like they did such a good job with resolving those characters.
They really did. They really did. I feel like if any of the characters from the Fox franchise are seen, it needs to be. I'm sorry, any of the actors. It needs to be in other roles. Like they did with Chris Evans. Or it needs to be as a cameo.
A good one, too. Not just a cameo, but a good cameo.
A cameo that is necessary and fruitful and like, good cameo. Yeah. I don't want to just like my favorite Wolverine cameo was in Days of Future Past.
Yes.
No, it wasn't Days of Future Past. It was First Class.
Oh, yeah,
when they were recruiting X-Men and they walk into the bar and he's like, fuck off. That was a good cameo. I will say that X-Men First Class had so I guess we can move to there. X-Men First Class
That's where I was going to go to next.
Great. X-Men First Class had some of the best cameos to me, like Rebecca Romaine's cameo in that. Loved it. Those are the kind of cameos I like. Like, we don't need a whole new movie. You want to see me as older? And then go and like, so that me as a fan, I'm like freaking out about it, but you don't have to build the whole movie on putting her in the movie. Like, you didn't have to, like, nobody knew she was going to be in that scene. It was well kept secret. So even Wolverine, we didn't know he was going to be in it. So when we saw them, it was like awesome. It wasn't like, oh, but we have Hugh Jackman, so we have to use him in. No, you don't. You really don't. So how we feel about First Class?
I liked First Class. I kind of like I guess you can call them prequels. I enjoyed
First
them.
Class was the first. Yeah, it was the first one that I watched after the original 3.
We can't really even call them prequels. Let me tell you why. Because as soon as First Class was done, they did Days of Future Past, which was really just a franchise film.
Right.
And then Apocalypse was totally, after Days of Future Past, everything that happened before was erased. So it was actually technically a sequel. I look at it as a sequel. But I can see how it's a prequel too. It's debatable.
If any of them would be a prequel, it'd be First Class. But
it would, yeah.
Yeah, that one at least. But I did enjoy that one. I think I enjoyed Days of Future Past more
than
First Class.
Days of Future Past was a better film. Days of Future Past. I'm sorry, we're moving too fast. So okay, so in X-Men, my biggest issue with X-Men First Class was Darwin. So, you introduce this character who's the only black male in the film.
Right.
Really, other than Zoe Kravitz, the only black person in the film.
Yeah.
And, Zoe Kravitz is not white, but she's her one of her grandparents is white. I think actually one of her mother's parents is white too. One of Lisa Bonet's, isn't Lisa Bonet
I gotta
mixed race?
look at it. I don't think so.
Either way, she's very like a fair-skinned woman. So, you know, the trope in Hollywood is that, you know, it's okay to have a fair-skinned woman, but, you know, X, Y, Z in the third. So you take the one black character in there whose power is to survive anything, and you kill him. 5 minutes after he tells you that that's his power, and 5 minutes after the man who kills him says he doesn't kill mutants. I was watching that like, I really was expecting him to like come back at some point, but no, he was just like, you know,
offed, yeah.
I was like, what? That was my only issue with that movie.
I hate to keep harping on it, but it's called Geeking Out, and the thing I geek out hardest about is story and character. And I think they did it again. They somehow managed to perfectly cast another perfect cast. Like, I mean, Fassbender, all those dudes weren't what they are right now when that movie was made. They literally they managed to cast like 5 just about to explode superstars. You know, I mean, she certainly had some note. I mean, all of them had a little bit of notoriety at the time, but not what they are now. You know, Fassbender's like, you know, an icon of the industry at this point. And it's like, how, again, it's marvelous casting, to make a little pun. It's just like, they do such a good job at finding these people and then putting them in. Again, not the strongest scripts, not the most true to the real lore of the comics, which is always so baffling. It's like, why make comic movies if you have all these resources and you don't want to use them? You know, is it just laziness?
Is right here.
Yeah, it's right there. Yeah. And so I thought that film was they did such a good job at like not only putting young hot guns in the seat, but like letting them kind of do a little of the stuff that makes them well known for their style. You know, it's like Fassbender did some very Fassbendery scenes in there. You know, they each got kind of like, they didn't mind letting their actors live in the role a little, and it didn't feel so force-fed to the actors like some of the other movies did. It seemed like these people actually maybe did a little reading about the characters.
And they got to play a little bit, it seemed like. Yeah.
Havoc! Let's talk about Havoc. Where's his fine ass? Because I forget about Havoc. Now, I have a problem with how they got rid of his character. I really have a problem with how his character died. But we'll get to that film. But
Lucas Till.
I love the fact that he was there because I thought Havoc was Cyclops' younger brother.
He's his supposed to be
I thought he was his younger brother though.
Yeah.
In the comics, he's his younger brother.
In the comic, he's the younger brother, but in here he was the older. But that was another. At that point, we had 3 X-Men films, and we had like, I think 2 Wolverine ones, or at least one. So I was already like, okay, they're gonna do whatever they want at this point, so whatever. But it's like, okay, so you're introducing Havoc, and I also thought his power came out of his hands, and that never happened until the 3rd film he was in. But I was like, okay, we want to have a growth. For what reason, I don't know. Like, why do we need to explain how it comes out of his hands? We don't need to explain that. That doesn't need to be explained. That's just what it is. Like,
you do it, I get it.
There's so many other things that are just that way. So to me, I'm just so happy for his presence in the films, just because X-Men First Class gave me hope that they were really going to let some of these little known characters live. Yeah. And they did and didn't. And I get when you have a franchise like X-Men, I feel like the biggest issue with the X-Men franchise was they wanted to come too quick. They didn't do what Disney did and play the long game. Mm-hmm. They went for the quick. They went for the quick fix, the quick thrill. And so they ended up putting, like, if you really look at it, they've over maybe 11 films, they've had a lot of characters show up, but they haven't really given these characters any meat. So they haven't made us love them. Like, Colossus is one of my favorite characters. And he's been in movies since the second one.
Yeah.
But every iteration of him is different. Like, that him and Deadpool is totally different from the one in the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen the second Deadpool. But I know, but even still, like, I'm not in love with any of the Colossuses I've seen.
Right.
Because they've really never given him that shine. Jubilee has been in 3 movies as well. She was in, I know she was in 2. She was in X-Men 2. If you go and watch X-Men 2, the DVD, there's a cut scene where she actually uses her powers, but it's more like electricity and not like fireworks. But then, and she's an X-Men, she's in another X-Men movie, but like, you show these characters just to put them on screen, but you don't give them anything to do. Why even put them there? Give that time to a character like Storm, like a character that you're actually going to use and develop. Give them something fun to do instead of just being like, hey, we put Jubilee in the movie. Like, We haven't seen a lot of characters from the MCU, but I'd rather wait for them and it be like, 'cause if you look at WandaVision, some of those characters in there are characters a lot of people have no idea who they are. I've even had to research them and be like, who is this person? But the way that they're laying it out and making you wait for who they are, by the time you realize who they are, it's gonna feel like you've known them forever. Right. And I feel like in X-Men, which one are we on? First Class, they had so many good characters that they just didn't do anything with. Like that whole first team didn't even show up in Days of Future Past.
I think they were trying to bank on you just being able to see that mutant or that character and like you being super excited about it without actually having to develop them.
But why would they think that?
But I don't know.
Right.
But you have that because they had you believe. What was the last one I saw? Maybe was it Days of Future Past or because she was in one of them.
Who?
The Jubilee.
She was in Apocalypse.
Apocalypse.
No, it wasn't Apocalypse. It was Apocalypse. Yes, it was Apocalypse.
So like that one right there, like she was just kind of like a cute little teeny bopper in the film, and she didn't do much.
What's crazy is she's the only person that was actually a part of the clique who didn't do anything.
Right, exactly. So but I guess you're supposed to be feel something about the fact that she was there, as opposed to where in the Avengers universe, they'll introduce these characters, but they're gonna do something. You're gonna get something. You're gonna get some backstory. You're gonna get some action. You're gonna get something from them.
It's like Agent Anita Hill, right? If you watch, what is that movie? The first Avengers movie, when Loki is about to leave the parking garage after he's hypnotized Hawkeye, and she notices, even she gets a badass action scene. Mm-hmm. On the ship, I'm like, yo, she's not even an Avenger, dude. I don't even know if she's a character in the comics. And they still give her some badassery to do. Don't put them on the screen.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're
and
not
they give them
anything.
nothing.
Nothing.
Especially these mutants with gorgeous cosmic powers that literally her power is fireworks. You could do so much with that. She's fucking Jubilee. They disappoint me with so many of their mutant choices.
Okay, so we're gonna move to what's the next one? X-Men Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
Yeah.
How do we feel?
Okay.
I like that one.
Why?
Also one of my favorite sagas overall with the X-Men, that whole storyline.
Mm-hmm.
But
This is another example. I'm sorry, go ahead, Rakia.
No, go ahead, guys.
This is another example of them taking something that's really epic and not trusting what was already there.
Mm-hmm. Right.
First of all, we didn't need Wolverine to be the one that went back in time.
Right.
Kitty Pryde is the one who goes back in time with her own powers. And that would have been a great chance for you to develop that character, right? And make it a real ensemble feeling, right? You bring back Halle Berry as Storm, give her 3 lines. You bring back Patrick Stewart. I mean, granted, everyone they brought back didn't really have a lot to do. They show all these really cool mutants that never speak. Sunspot, Blink, all these people, and I'm like, okay, you have Cable. Was it Cable or Bishop?
Bishop.
It was Bishop.
Yeah.
You have Bishop, and then you get to see him use his powers one time. And I was like, I get you want to have these
cool too.
But you know what I'm saying? You could have actually developed them more, because this whole idea, Mystique, if she kills Boulevard Trash, she'll become evil and get captured. What I would have loved to see is her actually kill him, right? To help us understand how she goes down the dark path that she does.
Right.
And then then we get to see bad Mystique, right? Finally, because the whole thing I'm thinking, I wanted to see, the thing I loved about First Class was them making her a good guy, because then I was like, oh, we're going to get to see how she, becomes a bad guy. That's so dope. Right. But instead of doing that, they stop her from killing him. And then, because I thought it would have been okay, if she gets captured, the whole point is her not to get captured. Cool, I'm down with that. How about we kill him, she doesn't get captured, and then we have and we don't know where it goes from there.
Right.
And then we have this whole okay, now mutants are officially labeled bad. Everyone's trying to get, there's no, that would have been so dope for me. And it would have been so much more interesting to watch as characters to see them develop that way. So I feel like there was so much fruit there.
There's like a nice thing about comic book movies, and the reason I did like Days of Future Past so much, there was points where I felt like I was like kind of reading a comic book again. You know what I mean? Like there was, they succeeded in their spectacle of the jumps between the time and stuff.
Absolutely.
There was something about that I remember. I was in theaters and I was just like, ooh, I felt like I was 6 years old, like ready to jump on the bed and like grab, you know what I mean? Like, so it was that. I agree. A lot of it is so weird that it's like, they're like, hey, look at all these cool guys we have. We're not going to tell you about them, though, but aren't they cool over there? You know, it's just like, screw you guys, man. Like, pick what you want at the stories. There's so many stories to tell. Just pick the ones you want to tell and tell them. Like,
tell those, yeah.
Yeah, stop taking like, oh, this part of that character's story is really good, so we'll include it in this, a character they already know. I hate that crap, dude. It's like, let these characters develop. There is literally a dearth. You know, I choose Marvel over DC. Like, Marvel almost every time consistently pays off with some pretty heavy, fucked up, layered characters that aren't clearly good or clearly bad or exactly, and it's like
except for Storm.
Yes, yeah, except for Storm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, she's just hardcore all the way through.
I mean, I'm saying she's just, her moral compass is pretty much clicked in one direction.
Yeah.
But most of the other characters, I agree with you. Like, I like seeing that like really inner struggle of them, and I think they could have done so much more with that. I will give them props, though. This is one thing X-Men does really well. They introduce a character with one really epic power scene.
Yeah.
Quicksilver. His scene
so
in the
good.
kitchen with that fucking he's had two really good scenes.
Yeah.
But I actually prefer his power spectacle scene in the first one than in the second time Apocalypse, because the first time it was like we didn't know what we were about to see.
Nope.
And then we just see him like put the glasses on and just like toot 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 toot. That was so. And then like when time speeds up, just poof, that was so freaking dope. That was excellent to me. I was like, it's great storytelling.
Yeah.
That is how when you have a movie with all these characters with different powers, that's how you do them. Like, you know, give each of them, if you want to really have this many characters, do these epic moments for them. If you don't want to do what Marvel's doing, because you don't want to do what Marvel's doing, it would have been great if every character got a moment like that instead of like Wolverine getting 15 moments like that, Quicksilver getting one moment like that, Storm getting like a second and then dying right after.
And then dying.
Right. It's like, you know, it's like she blew up a jet, which is nothing because we've seen her do so much worse.
Yeah.
So like remember the tornado thing I told y'all about? She could have did that, and that would have been way more effective than her blowing up that jet. Yeah. But, you know, and so to me, it's just like, you know, we have these Colossus, he throws people. No, bro, he's a Colossus. So I feel like that movie goes back and forth for me because I feel like I agree with you. There was a lot of good spectacle where I did feel like I was watching a comic book, like the opening sequence when they're like all getting attacked by the what are they called?
Not the Sentinels.
Sentinels, that's what they're called.
Yeah.
They're getting attacked by the Sentinels and they survive that. That was epic. I was like, that's how you start a fucking movie.
Yeah.
But moving into the last one, not the last one, but X-Men Apocalypse. Do y'all remember at the end of X-Men Days of Future Past when Mystique was on the boat and had captured Wolverine?
Yes. She was.
You're looking confused, but
Maybe
he had got thrown. Magneto put all the metal wire in him, threw him into the lake, and Mystique captured him.
Got him.
Never explains that.
Never did anything with that.
It never got explained.
Why, because why was she? What was his name?
She was dressed up as Stryker.
Stryker. And like, why? Like, what happened after that? Like, how did? Because that's when eventually Stryker gets him, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like,
after that, he ends up in Alkali Lake. Right.
Yeah.
So how did Stryker end up back in his own body?
Real Stryker.
How did he not?
I didn't. Stryker coming in.
Right. I didn't capture this dude. How'd y'all get this dude? Yeah, you definitely captured him, dude. No, that wasn't me. Like, but because they they could have had that same scene without him being Mystique, and that would have all made sense.
And it would have been fine. Yeah.
That's what I don't get. It's like, why did you do that? Like, why even do that to yourself? You don't need that.
They're working hard, not smart.
It's kind of like how they took Magneto's powers away in X-Men 3 and then gave them back to him right at like the very end of the movie, and then explained that Professor X wasn't actually dead because he put his consciousness into another person's body.
Yes.
But then they never really explained that.
No, they never went back into that.
But other than that, how'd y'all feel about Apocalypse?
I have to admit that's where my I'm ignorant of Apocalypse. I
Ignorant.
love the animated show so much. I know I said I wasn't going to talk about it a lot, but it turned me off. What I saw, I was like, I don't know. And it's me. I don't like to be a nerd that doesn't like things. I hate that. I hate this before I've seen it mentality. I absolutely despise it as a human being. So I'm not one of those people that enjoys shitting on things. Mm-hmm. But what I saw, I was like, I don't know that I will like this because of my massive love for the animated series and the way that the Apocalypse Saga played out in that. I'm like, I know it wouldn't be fair to them the way I would feel about it. So I didn't watch it, and I hate that. I do need to go watch it. I don't like being one of those people.
I just wonder, at what point did Storm lose her accent?
She lost her accent in X-Men 2 and X-Men 3
True.
and X-Men Days of Future Past. Now, here's my thing about it. Some people come to America and they actually lose their accents. Storm was born in America, raised in Africa, and then came, and sometimes Storm doesn't sound African. She sounds British.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I'm not talking about I'm talking about like the even voice actors make her sound British.
Right. She sounds like very like regal and
yes.
Royalty, like British royalty.
I will give it to Alexandra Shipp. She did the accent the best. If you ask me, her accent was consistent. And it didn't sound African, it sounded Egyptian. It didn't sound like, it sounded where it was from. It sounded like this mixture of like West Egypt, middle.
Surprisingly found in Africa.
Yeah, I mean, it is in Africa, but but a lot of people consider it Middle Eastern. I don't know why.
Right.
But there's this debate. I was talking to somebody, because the cultures there is not, I don't know.
It's a very big Muslim culture there.
Yes. And so the accent there isn't so, it sounds more Middle Eastern than it's Arabian. Might. Yes. And she did that very well. Like, whoever got her down said, this is what you need to sound like. I was like, thank you. Whoever did that. Because
whatever vocal coach did that, good on you.
Right.
I liked her Storm. I actually did like her Storm. I think it was frustrating because I feel like as a young actress and she had the least notoriety, I feel like people looked at her like, who is this? But I think she did well. I think the young cast did very well. I was very happy with Sophie Turner. I was very happy with the kid who played Cyclops. I usually hate Cyclops.
Same.
I usually hate Cyclops. I liked his Cyclops. His Cyclops was actually my favorite version of Cyclops I've ever seen because he was likable. He didn't come off like a dick. He was very likable. Nightcrawler was cool. I don't know why Quicksilver was in that movie. I don't think he needed to be in that movie at all.
Right.
I don't think he needed to be there. Y'all hadn't seen it, so Quicksilver was in the movie.
Because I remember seeing it. That was when he was going to confront Magneto,
right? Which I love.
Not doing it.
That's what I hated.
I didn't understand that. Like, what was the
Magneto's
point?
destroying the world. Mystique gives Magneto this big, we're family kind of conversation, and then Quicksilver standing right next to him. And the whole reason Quicksilver's there is like, I want to, Magneto's my dad, and I kind of want to talk to him, right? So Magneto looks at him and is like, so why are you here? And he's like, I'm here to, he's like, I said, because I want to save my family too. I was like, if there was any time to tell this motherfucker that he was your daddy,
right there.
Literally right there.
The next sentence.
That should have been it. You might have stopped the whole thing right there. Wait, I have a son? You're my son? That could have changed the whole vibe. But I feel like you introduced him and you never expounded on that relationship. Even in Apocalypse, in the next movie, they still hadn't addressed the fact that they're family. So it was weird for me. So did y'all have it?
So which film did they mention Wanda in? I don't remember which one.
It was Future Past.
Future Past, okay. Right? Yeah.
It was on a because what people don't remember is there's a scene with him playing with a little baby, and people thought that was Wanda. That was not Wanda because him and Wanda are twins. That was Lorna, who is their younger sister Polaris, who also has Magneto's powers. Mm-hmm. There's a comment where his mother says something about his sister upstairs, and she's clearly doing and the baby's in the room with them. So they're clearly talking about another character. She doesn't show up, but they mention her presence. And so I think that was Fox's version of it. Like, we're not even gonna cast no actors. But y'all did this because they wanted to, I think they wanted the second Avengers was hyped as the one where an Avenger dies. Mm-hmm. So I think they were like, yeah, let's bring in Quicksilver and kill him. Clearly he's coming back. Side note. I'm sorry. I don't know if y'all understand that, but Wanda's gonna bring him back to life somehow. Okay, and then the last movie, since I'm guessing none of y'all saw Dark Phoenix.
No.
I've
I
tried to
bring
watch it twice, and I
myself
keep falling
to
asleep.
do that to myself.
Dark Phoenix.
After what they did to the Phoenix the first time, I just don't trust them.
I will say this.
I did not, and I could not trust.
Dark Phoenix is my favorite one of them all.
No.
Which is crazy
No.
because
What?
it's the one that's done the poorest. Like, or the
I
second
disagree with
poorest.
that. This is why I like, because if you really know anything about the X-Men, X-Men is not like the Avengers where they're like saving the world here and there. Like,
I mean,
they
like,
save the
box
world
office wise,
sometimes.
like,
They save the world sometimes, but a lot of their beef is like, it's almost like gang beef, turf wars. Like them, it's them versus the Brotherhood, them versus the Morlocks. It's like a lot of gang shit. Them versus the Hellfire Club. It's a lot of gang shit. And
That's
this
what I
is
love
what
about
that
it.
movie was. This movie was absolutely that. It was like, there was literally a scene where they had a gang fight in the streets, and I was so here for it. I was like, you could have given me, like, it was like, Phoenix was in the house with the alien chick, and the alien chick was like fucking with her mind, and
The
Magneto,
Shi'ar chick?
she wasn't, she was alien. I'm not sure. They did some. They think she was Shi'ar, whatever. But they didn't do it exactly like in the comics. But at least they did. They had it like she was an alien. She came from outer space. She freaking crashed into the ground, took on the form of the first woman she saw, and killed. And then, like, it was actually really true. Other than there was no crystal. And other than that, like, they went to space on a mission. They were popular. Like, everyone knew who they were because of what happened in Apocalypse. So they were, like, well-known, world-renowned to these heroes. And there was this issue in space, so they went to do it. And Jean Grey died up there. But when she died, it was because she, like, absorbed all this massive energy from this space flare. So it was pretty on... I was like, everything was, like, lined up with what it was.
Right.
But what sucked about it was no one was trying to hear it at that point. Like, it was like, oh, you already fucked it up, so I don't want to hear it. But it was really good to me because it felt, other than the fact that they killed Mystique. They killed Mystique for no reason. I was like, okay. It was really dope how they... It was really dope how they made her death count toward why Magneto wanted to kill Phoenix. Which was really interesting, like watching him find out and then try to kill her. And then them going at it. Like, they had some really good moments, like Magneto versus Phoenix. I was like, yes.
Yeah, that sounds dope.
Thank you. Like, and then at the end when Phoenix had to like boss up and like just murder everybody, there were some really cool scenes. Like, they really got the balance of power. Like, Nightcrawler goes crazy and kills a train full of people. Like, he gets pushed to the point of murder. You know what I'm saying? And they make that a point to make that like, this is what, and I was like, this is what X-Men should have been. If you see Nightcrawler, he usually has a sword attached to his tail. Mm-hmm. They did that. They freaking had this scene where Storm had like murdered a train full of people because they were like the I don't know if they were aliens. I think they were aliens, yeah. And so they're trying to get Jean Grey, and it was just dope. Yeah. It was, to me, it was dope. It felt like what X-Men should have been from the beginning. It felt like what the first movie in a Phoenix saga should have been. And then we should have saw her go from like this to bad Phoenix. Because it was like, I don't know what to do with myself, Phoenix. And then I would have had, like, if this was like the first time this was done, it would have been this movie. And then right after that, she would have turned into like Dark Phoenix. And then we would have seen the next movie of them trying to like figure that out. And the world almost gets destroyed. But it was a good one. If you haven't seen it, you should see it. But anyway... So I guess we're right at 10 o'clock, so that's our time for tonight. Thank you, Bam, for being here.
Thanks for having me, man.
Bam.
To talk about X-Men. If you are watching at home, it's going to cover up our faces. Please make sure to watch us on YouTube by liking us, hit our subscribe button, and also hit that notification bell so that you can be updated when we put new episodes up or when we're live streaming. Also, make sure that the next time you're watching us, you share. Actually, you can still share because as soon as we post this, it'll be able to be rewatched. Let all your friends and family know. Talk It Out is live on Thursday. Our topic this week will be the legalization of sex work. We're going to talk about that. We actually found some people who disagree with it, which was the hardest thing for me to do. I thought it would be a lot easier. It was really hard to find people who don't think we should legalize it, which just makes me wonder why it's not legal. But we're going to talk about that on March 3rd.
It is in the state that I'm from.
I heard it's not in the city.
It's not. It's not in Clark County. Every other county in Nevada, though.
Which is weird. If there was one county, I would think it was.
That's 35-minute drive. You're good.
Okay, look, if you needed that bad, you could drive.
You know, it's right over there. Right over there. Head over to Pahrump.
But on March 3rd, we're going to have a 24-hour live stream, which will be a fundraiser. Fundraiser will open a week before, but we're going to set a goal. We're going to hopefully make that, and then half of our proceeds are going to be going to a charity, which we will announce later once we get everything solidified with them. And also, Bam, tell us about what you have going on.
We D&D, baby, every Tuesday night on twitch.tv/ArtHard Studios. Our entire catalog can be found on YouTube, ArtHard Studios. We're all over Instagram, Reddit, Facebook, Twitter, we do all the things. But yeah, man, that's absolutely the fire of my life right now. Come check it out. I promise you, it's about the best high fantasy you can find online. So
it is very entertaining. ArtHard is ARTHARD Studios, not Ard Hard.
Yeah.
So, because I definitely was looking up ArtHard at first. I don't know why. So, yeah, that's it for our show tonight. Thank you all for joining us. I'm going to hope this outro video plays because our intro videos did not. We love you guys, and we'll see you next in 2 weeks where we're going to have a guest host hosting. And I think we have 3 topics which we're still debating on, but it's going to be a good one. So make sure you come back and see us for that one.
Like
love
our
you guys.
Facebook page.
Like our Facebook page. Go ahead, Keith. Say what you want. Go ahead.
Yeah, like our Facebook page. Thank you for those that we have reached 200 likes and follows on Facebook.
Yes.
So like and share our page and get the word out. Thank y'all.
You got anything, Chris?
Okay. Nah, just good night, everybody.
Good night.